But let's find out a little more about enlarged prostate. Of course, it can be benign, as the King's is, but obviously can be malignant as well. Jeff Foster's a GP and a specialist in men's health. And Jeff, let's just start with how common, particularly among older men, issues around the prostate are.
Hi, thanks for having me. Benign prostate hyperplasia, which is the type of prostate problem we think that the King has, is extremely common. In fact, it's so common that 50% of men, be aged between sort of 50 and 60, have it. And by the time you're hitting your 70s, 80% of men will have BPH in some form or another. So it's nearly every guy.
Right. And how will you notice it? I think I know where this is going, but how will you notice you've got it?
The biggest problem with BPH is that we are all going to get it at some point. So the prostate is about a walnut-sized organ, and it sits there just above our bladder. And normally it grows during our life just as we get older, and that's absolutely fine, except that the urethra, the tube that we pass urine out of, goes right through the middle of it. So as that prostate gets bigger, eventually it starts to squeeze on the urethra, and our ability to pass urine properly starts to become compromised. So a really good example is when I was at a restaurant a year or two ago with my son, and he's only 10 at the time, and you realise that he's able to pee with such amazing flow. He can go above his own head. This thing's amazing. And you look down and think, God, I'm in my 40s. What's happened to my flow? And it's just dribbles coming out. And that's normal for every guy. Yeah. But the difference is when it becomes an impact on your life. So when you're getting up at night, when you're hesitating to start, when you're getting dribbling afterwards, when perhaps you're getting the incomplete emptying, you're needing to go again and again, you can't empty it, and then it adds other risks in the future.
Yeah, right. If it gets really serious, you need, well, firstly, how many enlarged prostates are serious conditions, are cancerous conditions that really need looking at?
So it's really important to differentiate that prostate cancer, which affects about 52,000 men each year, is not the same as a benign large prostate. So the two aren't automatically linked. And just because you have BPH doesn't mean you're going to get cancer. They're completely separate. But again, similar risks. As we get older, we will have a higher risk of prostate cancer. So simply by living longer, your prostate is at bigger risk of various medical problems. But the key is just to always look at those symptoms. And it's very hard to differentiate between BPH and prostate cancer, especially in the early stages.
Right. Now, what is the procedure that you would have if you've... Let's put aside the malignant cases. If you've got a condition with an enlarged prostate, it's getting in the way, really, of being able to pass urine. What is the procedure that you have?
So treatment of BPH is now infinitely better than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. So we can give you medical drugs that will help you relax your bladder better so you can pass urine more fully and empty your bladder more completely. There are certain medications you can use to try and shrink the prostate down, but they're a bit more contentious. But the main ones are the surgical options. So whereas in the old days, we used to have to do a procedure called a TURP, where they sort of corkscrew their way through your prostate, which sounds as almost as barbaric as it looks. We don't really do many of these anymore. And we now have these much more less invasive procedures, things called green light laser, where it's a laser beam that goes through your prostate. We have a steam, and this steam device actually goes up through the urethra and steams the inside of the prostate, which again is a great procedure because all of these don't require a knife. So there's no cutting, there's no bleeding. Patients are in hospital for far less time. They don't have many infections after, and they can bounce back much, much more easily.
Yeah, well, Jeff, thanks for that briefing. And as I say, the King obviously opening up a conversation. From what Johnny says, pleased to be opening up a conversation about all of this. And as I say, do share your experiences. And if we get too many, we will obviously not be able to do justice to them all.